we definitely saw some more market turbulence today. Check this out. XRP is still sitting comfortably above $3 as I'm recording, and it's not even breaking a sweat. That kind of resilience is exactly what those of us in the XRP community have been envisioning for years, and honestly, it's thrilling to finally watch it play out. Even more exciting. This is likely just the calm before the storm, the final parabolic blow-off top that tends to happen each cycle. Historically, XRP's second surge in a market cycle ends up being far more explosive than the first one, especially when measured in USD or whatever your preferred fiat currency might be. So in my opinion, the most exciting part is still in front of us. In this video, I'll be sharing insights from 10 different XRP chart analysts, including one who believes XRP could push to $10.47 in the short term. Now, for anyone newer to crypto, that might sound like it should take months or years to happen. But not so fast. That kind of rapid move is exactly how this market works. I can't say whether his target is correct or not. I don't make price predictions myself, but I do know from experience that when XRP moves, it tends to move fast. For perspective, during the 2017-2018 bull run, XRP skyrocketed from about 20 cents to $3.35 in just over 2 weeks. That's the type of explosive price action that has defined XRP in the past, so don't assume it can't happen again. Crypto rallies are notorious for being sudden and dramatic, and XRP has already proven it's one of those coins capable of massive, rapid growth. Will I be shocked if it takes off like that again? Not at all. Now, just to be clear, I don't come from a financial background. Nothing I say here is financial advice. You should never buy or sell based on my words. I'm simply an XRP enthusiast who loves making videos about crypto as a hobby purely for fun. As of right now, it's 4 p.m. Central Time on Friday, August 15th, 2025. XRP is trading at $3.08. After dipping as low as $3.01 earlier today, Bitcoin is sitting at $117,306, having pulled back slightly from the all-time high it reached just a couple of days ago. Bitcoin managed to briefly push above $124,000, but I still believe the real fireworks are still ahead. Of course, the biggest thrills will come from XRP and the altcoin space, but Bitcoin always leads the charge in. That's exactly what we've seen in every previous cycle. There's actually comfort in that because history doesn't repeat perfectly, but it definitely rhymes. This morning, analyst Jelly shared his latest update. He noted that Bitcoin has been bouncing back nicely. After the post-PPI scare yesterday, that was the big inflation report everyone was talking about. According to him, price respected support. The CME gap has been 75% filled, and we're now trading above the 4-hour 50 IMA. He points out that $120,000 is the critical level to flip into support, and once that happens, it's straight into price discovery territory. That's where things really heat up. When Bitcoin completes that parabola, that's when altcoins absolutely explode. Analyst Mustache is also sounding extremely bullish. He's been tracking the total to chart, which is basically the crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. Right now it's on the verge of printing what he calls a God candle, something we haven't seen in years. He's been consistent with this view, saying history shows the same pattern over and over. We still haven't reached the euphoric blow-off top that defines every bull cycle. And here's the thing, it is coming. It's not like human psychology has suddenly changed. Traders still rotate profits the same way, from Bitcoin into Ethereum, then into majors like XRP, and finally into mid and small caps. That's just how market cycles work. Would be naive to think human behavior has somehow been rewritten, and this time is different. No, I don't buy into the fear narrative, folks. Let's look at what the blockchain backer shared on August 13th. At that time, he was pointing out that the Russell 2000's small-cap stocks was breaking Fibonacci levels. He revisited that idea this morning and emphasized that yesterday's liquidation was basically just a backtest. In his latest video, he dove deeper, explaining that, if anything, the overall setup still looks fantastic. When you zoom out across different assets and major indicators, it really doesn't add up to be overly fearful right now. Another analyst, Altcoin Vector, highlighted something interesting with Bitcoin dominance versus ETH/BTC. His take: Ethereum's all-time high is right around the corner. He pointed out that Bitcoin dominance has already dropped 10% since July, while ETH/BTC has surged 110% since April, the biggest stretch of Ethereum outperformance since 2021. In his words, all season is officially here. Now, depending on who you ask, you'll get different opinions on whether we're in all season yet or not. I've seen 3 or 4 well-known analysts now claim it's underway, but here's the truth. There's no governing body that defines what qualifies as all season. It's all subjective. Most of the disagreements come down to people using different definitions. But regardless, whether you think we've already entered alt season or we're on the verge of it, the trajectory is undeniable. We're heading in that direction. And just look at Ethereum's breakout against Bitcoin. When ETH hit those local lows, it was obvious the market was bottoming. Yet so many people were ready to declare Ethereum dead. Fast forward, and now ETH has absolutely taken off. Historically, that kind of breakout has always been the spark that ignites alt season. So ask yourself, why wouldn't you be excited right now if you're in crypto? The fear doesn't make sense. Here, this is the moment to be fired up. History is showing the same rhythm as always. And if it continues to rhyme like it has in every cycle, then the most explosive, euphoric part is still ahead. And yes, this really does look like the beginning of alt season, XRP included. Historically, XRP delivers its biggest, most dramatic runs right when Bitcoin is making that final push upward. And that's exactly what seems to be unfolding in front of us now. Honestly, it couldn't be more obvious. Take this post from CryptoWise, for example. No need to read every line, but he pointed out on the SNX BTC chart that a new all-time high is inevitable. There's a strong consensus forming that Bitcoin isn't finished yet, and logically, why would this time be any different? The fundamentals haven't deteriorated compared to the last cycle. They're basically the same, if not stronger in some areas, so it only makes sense that we'd see another leg higher. On top of that, CryptoWiser had also shared his perspective on XRP, saying it's preparing for its next big breakout. According to him, XRP has pulled back after retesting its previous all-time high zone, and that setup usually precedes a parabolic move. His words, wait and see. Honestly, that's the same message I keep hearing from virtually every chart analyst I follow. The ones who've been consistently accurate with XRP throughout this cycle are all saying the same thing. The rally isn't over. Meanwhile, the analysts who've been calling XRP dead year after year, most of them have gone pretty quiet lately, probably because they're tired of being proven wrong. At this point, it's actually tough to even find a major analyst who doesn't agree that XRP is gearing up for something massive. Most skilled analysts agree it's crystal clear that XRP is gearing up for liftoff. The minor pullbacks we're seeing, totally normal retests, nothing to be afraid of. Direction is higher, my friends, much higher. Take chart analyst Dolly Martinez, for example. He pointed out that XRP has been consolidating inside a triangle, and if it breaks above $3.26, that could quickly push us toward $3.90. That would mean yet another all-time high and open the doors to true price discovery, the face melt stage of the cycle, which is the part I personally can't wait for. And if history holds true, this should line up perfectly with Bitcoin's last major surge. Everything seems to be aligning. Another analyst, Crypto Insight UK, mentioned that liquidity has been stacking up just above XRP over the past 2 days, which could propel it to $4.34 in short order. Not a final peak, but another stepping stone toward bigger price discovery. Then you've got Crypto Dammies, who highlighted XRP's bullish ascending triangle paired with a very bullish-looking MACD's call. A new all-time high is right around the corner. And here's the thing. I've always welcomed skeptical or bearish takes on my channel because it makes the discussion more balanced and interesting. But lately, those views are practically non-existent. Honestly, when I do find even a sliver of negativity, I'm eager to cover it because it's so rare. Doesn't that tell you something? These aren't random voices either. These are analysts with solid track records. It doesn't make sense that they'd all be wrong simultaneously on something this significant. Historically, when analysts are this aligned, it usually signals they're right. For example, chart analyst Dark Defender recently shared that XRP is about to wrap up its ABC correction, after which he expects a surge toward $10.47. He even laid out intermediate targets, key support levels along the way. And while he acknowledges corrections can play out in different ways, his broader outlook hasn't changed. In fact, he's often suggested XRP could push even higher, closer to $18 in this cycle. Whether it peaks at $10, $15, or beyond will ultimately depend on just how much capital floods into the market. But one thing is clear. When XRP moves, it moves fast. Money always flows into Bitcoin first, and then it rotates through the rest of the market, Ethereum, XRP, and beyond. That's the cycle, my friends. Now here's a post from chart analyst XRpunky, and his outlook echoes what Dark Defender has been saying. He pointed out that XRP has been stuck in a sideways range for the past 256 days. If you've managed to sit through nearly 9 months of chop without panic selling, you've earned the reward that's likely ahead. According to him, the next leg up is coming soon, targeting somewhere between $10 and $15, and that's the recurring theme here. I keep coming across analysts with bullish projections. Trust me, if I found a credible negative take from a respected chartist, I'd share it with you. I actually like bringing contrarian viewpoints into the conversation, but lately, they're basically non-existent. Eventually they'll show up. Though, the reputable analysts out there, when XRP is nearing its peak, will start sounding alarms. They'll warn, guys, this looks overheated. We might be topping soon. And if you're sitting on a large XRP position, those are the warnings you'll want to hear. Because yes, just like every cycle, the bubble will eventually burst. At that point, plenty of people will still be screaming higher, higher, higher. But history shows that's exactly when it's time to be cautious. And even if those bearish calls won't be the most popular thing to post on YouTube, I'll still cover them. Next, a post from Credible Crypto, looking at the XRP BTC pair. He noted that the PO3 setup played out perfectly, and after testing, local supply XRP pulled back to the range lows. From here, he sees a strong chance that we'll form a triple tap or a higher low before making another run at the range highs. With supply already tested on the last attempt, he believes this time XRP could break through. Again, that's XRP versus Bitcoin, not XRP versus USD, but his short-term expectation is still more upside. And honestly, XRP has already outperformed Bitcoin massively this cycle, and I don't think that's finished. By the time this cycle is done, Bitcoin will have to watch in embarrassment as XRP wet Bitcoin. Maxis like to mock as the banker coin completely leaves it behind. The tribalism is ridiculous, but it doesn't change the facts. Then there's Zoom, another chart analyst, who pointed out that XRP recently dipped back to the bottom of its range, but still closed within it. As long as XRP holds above $2.75, the bullish structure remains intact. He sees it as extremely unlikely for XRP to break below that level. And honestly, I agree, if XRP ever did fall that far, it wouldn't signal a problem with XRP itself. It would mean the entire crypto market had broken down because of some black swan event. On its own, XRP looks way too strong for that scenario. Finally, XRP Crypto shared an interesting perspective on Ethereum dominance. He suggested ETH dominance is retesting its 0.5 Fibonacci level and could eventually aim for the upper 0.888 level. But here's where it gets exciting for XRP. He expects XRP to flip Ethereum in dominance, reaching about 20%. Now XRP dominance is sitting somewhere around 5%. That would mean a fourfold increase in market share and, by extension, a fourfold increase in XRP's price. If that plays out, we're talking about XRP leapfrogging Ethereum in market cap and rewriting the crypto leaderboard. So if XRP reached 20% dominance right now, it would put it a little over $12. It's about $12.32. But here's where it gets exciting. That's based on today's total crypto market cap of just under $3.9 trillion. What happens if the overall market doubles, which many analysts believe is likely? That would put us closer to $7.8 trillion. And with XRP holding 20% dominance at that size, you'd be looking at something more like $24.64. That's how those higher double-digit XRP price projections suddenly make sense. It all depends on market growth and dominance, and I'm not the only one pointing it out. Chart analyst Steph is Crypto recently called for XRP to be sent to $20 with haste. Whether it stops there or overshoots, the point is this. Once XRP breaks out, it tends to move violently and quickly. We are at the part of the cycle where that type of explosive price action can unfold overnight. That's the fun part about XRP. You might go weeks or months with sideways trading, downtrends, or slow grinding gains. But then you wake up one morning, and XRP is absolutely ripping, climbing faster than anyone expected. Those are the days. You remember? And I think we're on the verge of seeing some of them again as this market cycle heads into its climax. So this is not a moment for fear. This is a time for excitement. History shows these cycles always bring the big moves right. At the end, this one looks no different. Higher, my friends. Higher. And just to be clear, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Should never buy or sell anything because of what I say. I'm just an XRP enthusiast who loves tracking this market for fun.